guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I'm Fox.
I'm Dez.
And hey guys, yeah, we're back here for another week to talk about some stuff.
Yep, happy to be talking to you.
I guess. I mean, yeah, okay, sure. So, Dez, tell me, what have you been up to this week? I know you started a new game.
Yep, I've been playing the Telltale Batman series, the newer one, Enemy Within.
Right.
Real good. I've always liked their take on the universe of Batman, I guess.
Yeah, they give it a unique spin.
Lore. Yeah, because they know that they're not in canon, and they're totally okay not being in canon.
Sure.
But with that, they're like, well...
For the record, I'm okay with not being in a canon also.
Oh, not me.
Sounds painful.
I always
cramped.
have to be in a canon.
That's weird. That explains a lot, actually.
Yeah. Like why I'm in this canon right now.
Right, yeah.
But because they know they're not in canon, they're like, well, let's take some, golden calves and throw them in the fire.
Right.
Let's see what we got here. So it's always really fun to do that.
Yeah.
Still playing Odyssey?
A little bit. I've gotten pretty far into it. I've gotten to what I believe is the last world in the game. But I'm still playing it because it's super fun. But also, just for funsies, I am playing, and by no means I'm playing Infamous Second Son.
Are you really?
Which is, because it was a free game on the PSN.
All right.
And I never played it, and I remember playing the first Infamous and liked it, but this is basically that. It's nothing special, but it's fun. I'm really just looking forward to December 1st is Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah.
Which I'm really looking forward. It's going to be a super classic, like, JRPG on the Switch, and then December 10th, 12th, something like that, is what I'm most excited for, Okami.
Oh, that's right.
The HD, well, I think it's just an HD update. I don't think it's like a remake. It's an HD update because they put it out on the PS3 and they're re-releasing it for the PS4, which I'm very excited for because I loved Okami. But right now, it's pretty much just Odyssey and other whatevers.
I am also in the process of playing a game just for me, which is something I haven't done in a long time.
You just gotta treat yourself sometimes.
Yeah, not recording it or anything, but it's Sundered again. But I love it so much. That game is so much fun.
You clearly do love it.
But I am in the process. I want to platinum it.
Sure.
And I am playing it on the insane difficulty.
Oh, man.
Which is appropriately named. And which I don't need to do. I could play it on easy and just kind of burn through the game to platinum it, but I'm kind of enjoying the challenge.
There's not a trophy for beating it on.
There's not. I was really
That's surprising.
Yeah, I was surprised at that. I was also really surprised that there's not a trophy for completing the skill tree.
Yeah, that's strange. Usually those are pretty standard. Tell me, quick question before we get into our real topic. When you are playing a game and it starts off and you have an option for difficulty, what's your typical go-to? Normal, just standard. I typically go to normal.
Yeah. So if I had more time, I would go to hard first.
Okay.
But because I just don't have the time to be able to grind in a game, I go to normal. I find that with normal difficulty, it's easy enough for me to kind of just get through the game.
Yeah.
So
because you want that challenge-ish, but you also want the story, and
right, exactly.
One can overshadow the other if you go easy or difficult. I usually go because I like trophies. I'm a snowflake who needs lots of trophies. I usually go with the hardest I need to be able to get trophies.
Right.
So basically, like with Uncharted, I will play it on hard or whatever the hardest one is off the bat, because when you beat it on that, then you get the brutal or insane or whatever the super one. Then I'll play it again. But yeah, interesting. I don't really have a segue for what we're talking about. You want to make one up right now?
I mean, I had something.
Oh, what you got? Let's hear that segue.
I was gonna kind of go back into like talking about Batman and how
because the Batman.
Right. And
I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine. And so how the lore in it is something that is only in the Batman world, because sometimes it can be a challenge to maintain lore in several different areas.
Well played. Yeah, today we are talking about a cinematic universe.
Right.
Not anyone in particular. We're talking about the concept, but we're also obviously going to mention Marvel a lot. We're going to talk about DC. We're going to talk about the different universes that have been attempted with varying levels of success. And officially the title, I think, is The Pros and Cons of a Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Because it's really interesting to me from a film appreciation standpoint, like what they've been able to accomplish over at Marvel. And
which, although, like, quick spoiler alert, we don't name these until after the podcast because sometimes our conversation just goes a direction that we didn't expect.
It might be completely different.
So
it might be like how to change the oil on your car. We don't know yet. We're going to find out, though.
I know.
You know it's not going to be that?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, me. That's pretty obvious, but it could be.
Okay, so Justice League is coming, or, well, by the time you hear this, will have come out.
Right, for us, it's 2 days from now.
2 days from now. And I need to change the oil. I'm like, oh my God.
I did it! Yes! What if that movie just becomes like an instructional video on
oil
car
change.
Repair? Well, that's Cyborg's
Ben Affleck's
part of
there, and he's just like, all right, first thing you're going to need to do is remove the oil.
Cyborg, take care of that. Why is this? Okay, it's better than BVS. I'm okay with it.
All right, yeah, this is great. Yeah. I feel like I've learned something after it.
There was some edification here. Yeah. Okay. So let's start off and just dive right into it.
Yep.
What are the pros, the good parts? Why a company should attempt to create a cinematic universe rather than just a movie, or even multiple movies that are actually unconnected?
So as always with any sort of art, there are two sides to this. There's the financial side and the artistic side.
Always. Yeah.
And so financially, it's brilliant because at that point you make even your mediocre movies seem very appealing.
Yep.
You know, so for example, at least in my opinion, Doctor Strange is one of the weakest Marvel movies.
I'd say Ant-Man, but to me, Doctor Strange is probably second. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, but Ant-Man as well.
Yeah.
They're fine. They're good movies.
They're middling at best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with them. But I wanted to see them.
Sure.
Because I knew that Doctor Strange is going to be in Infinity War.
Right,
He's going to be in Thor Ragnarok.
Ant-Man's going to be in Civil War. Well, I need to know about Ant-Man, don't I?
Exactly.
You watch Civil War and you're like, no, I didn't really need to know. It was cool, but he wasn't like integral or...
Well, I mean, it also explained how he knew Falcon.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. These things come in. But yeah.
So financially, it makes it...
It's very smart, yeah. You basically have, in some ways, a captive audience. Yeah. Like, oh, you want to see this movie that we're making? Well, you're going to need to see these 6 first.
Right.
You want to watch Avengers? Well, you don't have any idea who these people are. You have to go watch these movies. Give us money, please.
Yeah. And Marvel does really well, and we'll talk more about how well it is. But you don't have to see those other movies. You can just go watch Civil War, and you're not going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah. They do a good job of riding the line of like,
it helps, but it's not
seeing
necessary.
others only improves the experience.
Right.
I mean, there are some actually that I feel like Civil War is, if you don't know like the ideology of Captain America and Iron Man,
that's true.
Been building
if you haven't seen the Iron Man
for
movies,
8 movies or whatever it was, more than that probably. Well, yeah, whatever.
That's a good
then
point.
You're like, who are these guys? Why are they fighting?
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. That you obviously sequels, you have to see the previous ones.
Oh, sure.
You need to see Winter Soldier to understand Civil War.
That's
Captain America.
That's an easy thing for a studio to expect.
Right.
You watch a sequel because you saw the first
one. But that's a really good point. Like I wouldn't have thought of that, but you're right. If you did not understand Iron Man's full ideology and why he's in this place currently in which he is so willing to submit to an authority which is so unlike him, but
right. That being said, in Civil War they do a pretty decent job.
Do a really good job.
They have that lady confront him after he gives that speech, who's like, "This was my son. He was." Reference to another movie that you probably have seen, but it's still like explained. He died. I blame you. You haven't seen that movie where that event took place, but also you can understand she blames him and he feels responsible and guilty.
Right.
So that makes sense. Like, yeah, that's kind of a pro and a con of the continuity between them. Of it helps, but also if you haven't seen them, it doesn't.
But
it's a little more difficult.
Artistically, the pros are the ability to tell a much fuller story.
Right.
It's so nice to be able to say, okay, look, I'm going to bring Iron Man into this, but how in the world am I going to tell this really in-depth story about why he's got this massive PTSD, as well as guilt weighing on him? Like, sure, I can nod to it, I can reference it, but if you really want to get the fullness of it, I can't tell it without making this movie 6 hours long, you know?
Yeah.
And so what do? Oh, you have a cinematic universe, and you just put that in the Iron Man movies.
Yeah, it's so good. You have this full story because in Civil War, when they're fighting at the end, him and Captain America over this ideology of should we go to the government, should we not? You can look back to Iron Man 1, a full 50 billion movies ago, approximately, and that very quick shot where that, when he's in the Humvee and it blows up, and then that rocket or that whatever lands on the ground next to him and it says Stark Industries, and he's like, you're like, oh, right, you can't see my face, but he's just like, oh no, shocked. That's my name. It's kind of funny at the moment, because you're like, oh, that's Tony Stark. How ironic.
That's the definition of irony.
Well, then 12 movies later, you're like, this is a result of that. Like, that little moment is the result. Yeah, it's still weighing on. One of the best, in the same vein, one of the best moments, I think, in maybe the whole, in Avengers for sure, that people kind of skate over is when they've all finally come together. I think the Hulk's back. I don't know. There's a bunch of them together.
Right.
And they're like, they've regrouped. They're, final wave or whatever. They're in the fight, but they come together, and Tony Stark says to Captain America, "Call it, Cap."
Call it, Cap. Yes.
And you're like, hey, that's cool. Tony Stark has lived his life as it's about me, and I'm the best. I have the money. I can build the things. I'm the smartest. And in that moment, he recognizes that somebody else in this situation might be better suited for it. The guy who's literally been trained by the military to fight an enemy in an army situation.
Right.
It's great. And so later when it comes back, I'm not good at this. Like that was a seed of the idea of Tony Stark looking to somebody else to solve a problem that he can't accomplish.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now it's ironic that it's not Captain America. Like, Captain America is the problem now, but he's still looking outward because all of his life, even after he made his choice to stop making weapons, a lot of the things he does, like his alcoholism and his, his relationship with Pepper at that point was screwed up. Like, his life is he's not perfect. He's just made some choices and recognized that other people might be better at it than he is.
Right.
And that's really cool.
Which is why, a lot of people disliked, I thought it was middling, but Superman versus Batman, Dawn of Justice. But a movie like that struggled a little bit because you have not established Batman.
Right.
In this way. This style of Batman, who this Batman is. Yeah. Because that's not Christian Bale Batman.
They were hoping that they were relying on your outside knowledge of Batman as a property when their version of him was very different than most of them.
Very, and most people, me as a huge Batman fan, when I tell people that what Batman is known for is the world's greatest detective, the average person is like, what?
What are you talking about?
Detective?
He dresses like a bat and fights crime.
He's a ninja. He fights. That's what he does, right? Because that's what all the movies do.
It's a lot.
Person knows the movies.
It's a lot more fun to watch him punching than to analyzing a clue and being like,
Well, maybe to you it is.
In a movie, it is.
Right. So with these types of things, we see that it's attractive in a lot of ways to want to have a cinematic universe, to want to put this together, which is why a lot of people have tried it, which is why we get like Ghostbusters, which was meant to be a cinematic universe.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that, but Sony literally built, they put together the Ghost Corps, Ghost Corps, a studio entirely dedicated to creating Ghostbusters movies based on this first one with the all-female cast, which is hilarious. Like, you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
That's so weird. I don't know why they do this.
Ghostbusters is your choice? But yeah, so I mean, the result, the it wasn't technically a failure at the box office, but it was nowhere near the success that they needed.
It was good.
So
it was a movie, you know?
Again, we disagree.
No, I mean, as far as what the ratings and what the money has said about it, like,
it broke even. It made a profit, actually.
Yeah, it was.
But that's not enough for studios anymore.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Getting $400 million on a $200 million movie, that's
not even close to enough.
Oh no, we want $1.5 billion in first 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the thing. There was also the Dark Universe.
The Mummy was supposed to begin that.
The Universal Pictures, like their classic monsters, Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, Bride of Frankenstein, Invisible Man.
Right.
And then, the Mummy was the first one in that, and it was supposed to be this big deal. Like, they straight up advertised it as the Dark Universe, and they had things out. Like, they weren't just, hey, here's, and then just connected them later. It was trying to get you to invest in this whole thing.
Right.
And then that failed miserably because it was garbage. But
which, I mean, the idea of a cinematic universe is still new. You know,
relatively new.
The first one that really established it began with Iron Man.
2008.
Yeah, in 2008.
Less than 10 years ago.
Yeah, and so this attempt to build that, and so Marvel has succeeded so much in doing it, and DC is middling in it right now. DC's TV shows are really succeeding in creating a universe.
I'm not too knowledgeable on those.
So they have Supergirl, DC Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, Flash. All of these are successes.
Yeah.
And all of them, you know, my wife and I, we watched Arrow, and then The Flash appeared, and we're like, oh, well, we might as well watch Flash as well. And we started watching Flash. And then it came to a point when it was like, oh, we also need The Legends of Tomorrow in this. And we're like, okay, let's go watch an episode of Legends of Tomorrow. And so, like, we did not watch Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl. We don't watch those. But we have looked up episodes of them
to get the
information that we need.
Right. Now, to be fair, Marvel's TV shows are also really good. Like, Shield's really good. A couple of the Netflix ones are a little weaker, but none of them are bad. I wouldn't even say that Iron Fist is bad. I would say it was just missed potential.
Shield, Agents of Shield, and then their Defenders have done well.
Yeah.
Everything else put out by Marvel is not great right now.
I guess. I guess there's the Inhumans, which I haven't seen at all.
Right.
Which I've heard not great things horribly, about. Which is unfortunate.
Agent Carter,
but also not. I feel like people liked it. It just didn't get the traction. I don't know about that. Anyway, I promise I'm not trying to be a Marvel fanboy, but it comes out naturally.
I'm not a Marvel fan, so I'm willing to admit the truth.
I read Marvel superheroes more than I read DC superheroes, and so I know more about them, which makes me feel like I like them more.
The truth of the matter is that Marvel has succeeded hugely in its cinematic universe.
I mean, in
numbers-wise,
you can't say that's not true.
Yeah, they've succeeded hugely in their cinematic universe. Yeah.
Yeah, so any more pros? What else? I mean, there's more. There has to be.
Oh, obviously.
Why build a cinematic universe?
As a fan, I want a cinematic universe because I like those people. There's so many more people to see and to want to be a part of, so many more stories to hear. So, for example, cinematic universes, the Harry Potter movies. Right. We learn about Harry Potter and we see all this stuff and we get all 8 movies, and then the 8th movie ends and I'm like, oh, it's over. I'm done with the world of Harry Potter.
Right.
So Tyr, like, wow, that's so sad. Fred, I'll love you forever. It's sad. But then they're like, magical beasts and where to find them.
Oh, Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
You even a fan?
I know, gosh. And
fake fans.
I immediately am invested in this.
Yeah.
Because I love the universe. Mm-hmm. How many characters from Harry Potter are in it? 1. Dumbledore.
A person.
You know what I mean? And
he's not even in the first.
Not in the first one.
In the first one.
And that's it. But I want to be invested in this universe because I want to hear more of the stories, more of the people. I like the universe itself.
Okay.
And so making a cinematic universe, you become invested in the universe, not just the characters. You want to hear all the stories.
Sure. I mean, to me, that sounds more of like a financial, like, we've got them. They like Marvel superheroes, so they're gonna want to see everything. So let's throw together some movies. That to me, that sounds like more of a financial like branding opportunity. Everybody loves if we get them hooked on all these characters, then even our B-list, C-list characters like Doctor Strange or Black Panther, they'll pay us money for that. So let's get those in there. Fortunately, they've done a very good job introducing those characters.
Right.
So, yeah, it gives the opportunity for stories that might not do well. If you had just started with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, like the books had come out and then they were like, come watch this movie about this textbook in the universe of Harry Potter. No, we want Harry Potter, actually. Okay, yeah, maybe, but watch this thing about Newt Scamander. And you're like, I'm good. But now that, it gives a platform for the lesser known stories to be told.
And here's where I'll point out more of what I mean here and kind of say where I disagree with you on some of what you're saying, where I am not invested in the Marvel Universe. I'm invested in Marvel characters. I like hearing about Thor, and I like hearing about all these other people, but the world of Marvel it's okay. It's fine, I guess. It's normal. It's the world. And so if they put out Marvel stuff that is not great, like I am middling on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I watched 2 seasons of it.
I saw the first 2 seasons.
And I don't know if I'll watch any more.
Yeah.
I am not going to watch anything else on Marvel TV. I am very middling, and all that's part of the shared universe.
You're not going to watch Punisher?
Oh, no, I'll watch Punisher. I'm going to watch Punisher.
It looks freaking sweet.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not the universe I'm invested in. It's the Punisher I'm invested in.
Okay.
On the other side, there's the magical world of Harry Potter.
Sure.
If you came out with a TV show that is in the world of Harry Potter and it looks mediocre, I'm going to watch it.
I'm watching it right now.
Because I'm invested in the universe of Harry Potter.
I see the difference you're saying there.
Yeah.
It's not about the world. It's not about New York and the world of Marvel. It's about those characters in that world.
Right.
Okay. I understand that.
And so a benefit of creating a universe gives you an ability to give a story to the universe itself. It gives you a story to the setting. You get to define your setting. And so like Harry Potter has this defined setting of a middle fantasy. Yeah. Where on one side it's high fantasy and the other side it's low fantasy. And so it's like this middle fantasy, and there's so much, I'll use this as a descriptive term, but also literally, it's so magical. It really is, and it's so much fun. And so I'm invested in the universe, not just the characters.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah, I think another pro to creating a cinematic universe, we talked about sustained character development that gives you more opportunity. Iron Man 1 leads into Civil War, despite the fact that there's 5 movies in between where Iron Man is directly involved. It also gives your world more time. Right. So there's a rule in filmmaking, in script writing, really, in any story, really. You need to establish things before they become important.
Right. Absolutely.
There's a thing like Chekhov's gun isn't really the same, but so we'll talk about the Dark Knight trilogy. I've always thought that the Dark Knight trilogy would have been better if in the first one, if Batman Begins, when Bruce Wayne is, at the company and doing business things, Talia al Ghul, or whatever her fake name was, comes up to him and is like, Mr. Wayne, we need to talk about this project of this nuclear energy thing. It's a great idea, but we have a prototype made, but it's really dangerous if somebody gets their hands on it. That kind of thing.
Right.
And Bruce Wayne is just like, we'll talk about it. Give me some time, but I got more important things to deal with. And then being Batman, he just forgets about it. And you see him in Dark Knight literally sleeping during a board of directors meeting.
Right.
Like, that was great. It clearly shows he's not super invested in the company. It's more about what the company can do for him as Batman. Yep. And then in the third one, you see, like, oh, wait, this really was a big deal. And you find out this lady is Talia al Ghul, and now she's using it because you have not done what you should do to help the city. You are causing a problem. Now you've brought this on yourself. Oh, how much cooler would that have been if it's just a 2-minute thing? And so what I like about a cinematic universe like Marvel is that it gives you the opportunity to establish things that would be hard to just introduce. If you just had Thanos show up in one movie and be like, and try to tell the audience now tell the audience he's super evil god with all powerful destruction powers with his gems on it. You'd be like, first of all, that's ridiculous. That sounds funny. He has like a magical glove. Yeah. Okay. And second of all, you'd be like, who's this guy? Why is he so powerful? But I've never heard of him before. It happens a lot in things. In movies like this. But with these small...
Dawn of Justice.
Oh, okay. I guess Doomsday is a big deal or something. I don't know.
He's just gonna kill Superman. All right, cool.
Yeah. All right. Go. Yeah. Now with this, though, it gives the writers the opportunity to introduce Thanos 15 movies before he's actually the threat.
Right.
He shows up in Avengers for the first time.
Right.
You see his face after somebody says they do not fear death. And he's like, really? And you're like, who was that guy? What are you talking about? And then you start learning about him. You learn about the Infinity Stones. You learn about there are some characters in Guardians of the Galaxy that know about him a little more. Literally, they are related to him.
Right.
They show up and are able to tell others and therefore the audience a little bit more about him. And so as it builds, and now Infinity War is much more threatening because we see, oh no, one guy's going to have all of these powerful stones. And they're MacGuffin stones. Of course, it's all MacGuffins.
Right.
But it doesn't take away the fact that they've been built up over these years. And now you have the opportunity to bring all of this weight crashing down on these characters that haven't faced something like this before. And it's really cool to be able to do that.
Which Infinity War is going to be the defining film,
yes.
The first one on what I think is one of the cons of a shared universe.
Okay, so let's go into that. What are you talking about there?
Telling all of the stories. So here's something that in comics, what I think DC does better than Marvel, and then Marvel does better than DC. What I think the big difference between the two is, and you and I have talked about this, Fox, but
sure.
I feel DC makes better individual characters. You know Batman, you know Wonder Woman, you know Superman, you know all these individuals, and you love them, and you want to hear about them personally, where Marvel makes great overarching stories. So they have a couple of good individual people, like Spider-Man's real popular, and Wolverine's
good character.
But beyond that,
Iron Man's great.
He became great in 2008.
No, Tony Stark has always been cool. Like,
he's always been there, but he's never been an incredibly popular character.
That's true.
So before 2008, before the cinematic universe, they did teams. And they did teams really well.
That's true.
They had X-Men, Avengers, Defenders, like all of these teams, and they would tell overarching stories that included these teams of people.
Sure.
And they did a really great job of that.
Okay.
But Marvel came out with so many individual monthlies, like the Rogue series or the Cyclops series or the Gambit series, and they all flop because the truth is we don't care about these individuals.
Yeah.
We care about the team.
Yeah.
Or DC, on the other hand, they had dozens of monthlies, almost 100, and when they came out with the New 52, that was them reducing their monthlies to 52.
We've got too much going on.
Because their characters, people were so invested in their characters. So, all this to say, whenever DC did a big overarching thing like New 52 or Infinite Crisis, they were always super weird. Because what they tried to do every single time is tell a story that can be equally compelling for Batman as it is for Superman, as it is for Wonder Woman, and to tell all of their individual stories in this and how this individual impact. And they're just cramming all of this in there, but at the same time, like, okay, if it's going to be a mystery, Superman can't just throw it into the sun. So how are we going to tell this? And then, like, it gets so convoluted that you end up like in Infinite Crisis, Superman fights a space vampire. That's a real thing. Space vampire is a real thing that Superman fights.
I need to read that now. Sounds awesome.
So, truthfully, Infinity War or the Marvel Cinematic Universe has made us invested in the characters like I have been invested in DC characters. We care about the individuals.
It's true.
We care about Captain America and Iron Man.
And even like Loki now.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
They've created compelling individuals. Now you have to tell all of their story. Go. all of them. They're all in this movie.
Right.
Every single one of them.
You need to give all of them a voice, and all of them a role, and all of them you need to care about them.
If like Thor comes in and he has 30 seconds of screen time or 3 minutes of screen time and says a few quippy Thor things and also talks about how the Asgardians are going to help, and that's it, people are going to be mad about that because they wanted more Thor. But then, like, where do you put the focus? You cannot focus on all of them or you're going to end up fighting space vampires. That's just, like, you can't do that.
Is bad? Space vampires would be awesome. Yeah, that's true. That weight that people build up with these movies is fun, but and like really gives you weight to what's going on. It's not just about this fight. It's about how it's going to affect the next fight and what's going on. You know, when Captain America 2, Winter Soldier, oh wait, this isn't just Captain America fighting against an evil organization. It's an evil organization that has taken over the government itself.
Right.
S.H.I.E.L.D., which has been a big deal, is now gone, and that's going to have implications in other areas. So, maybe not necessarily in Thor, because he's off in space somewhere most of the time, but definitely in the show, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., of course, where the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. become...
S.H.I.E.L.D. is impacted by S.H.I.E.L.D.?
It's crazy how well they pulled it off, I know. But it affected the next Avengers. I really love that moment at the end of Avengers when the ship comes up and who was it? Quicksilver was like, this is S.H.I.E.L.D.? And Captain America's like, no, this is what S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like a rescue operation here to help people, not to exert their will over the world, you know?
And then Quicksilver became a S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, the least cared for character in the entire Marvel universe. Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword for sure to be able to build that weight and make you care about everything so much and interested in what's going to happen next, but also when what happens next kind of falters.
Yep.
Everything comes crash. It's a house of cards, essentially. Well, you've built up this big thing, and one piece or two pieces falls away, everything falls. The whole thing's gone, and it makes the whole movie lame.
And that's what happened to the second Avengers movie. That's precisely what happened to Avengers 2.
Okay, I'm in the minority here. I liked Avengers 2.
No, I liked it too.
I recognize flaws. I don't think it was bad, though. I think it was pretty cool.
This is what I'm talking about is people were upset with Black Widow's storyline.
Oh man, I loved it though.
I loved it.
Her and Arrow, what's Hawkeye, not Green Arrow.
Her and all of her Queen knockoffs.
Her and Purple Arrow.
Her and not as good Green Arrow.
They became the characters I cared about in that movie. Like they were the humans.
Yes.
They weren't Man in Iron Suit. They weren't Thor the God. They weren't Rage Monster. They cared about each other.
Yeah. And I agree. I loved their storyline.
Families they were worried about.
People really missed, which, I mean, I guess you can't really expect everybody to catch your direct reference to the creation of sci-fi via Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You know what I mean? Like, the heavy references to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Who's the monster? Are we creating a monster?
Sure.
How do we... They had a moment where there was a body on a table and he gets struck by lightning and comes to life.
Yeah.
Like, it was Frankenstein. And that's
by the way, that scene is just like, what's happening? Thor's just like, no, it's cool. Everybody else in the room is just like, what is going on?
What are you doing? Don't worry, I had a vision in a lake.
That's not reassuring. Yeah, a little weak. Luckily, Vision was a good guy.
Yeah.
That's good.
But people were so mad because they thought that she was too feminized, I guess, which is ridiculous. Like, okay, we're not going to get on that because I think it's the stupidest thing in the world. If you have your uterus, removed so that you care less about people, that way you can be a better killing machine, I think it's appropriate to be called a monster.
And to consider yourself a monster.
Yeah.
Nobody else called her a monster. She considered herself a monster.
Right. Well, no, Joss Whedon wrote it, so he's a misogynist.
So obviously, he's a sexist.
Right. Now,
Wonder Woman's probably
if a woman chooses not to have
die
children to focus on her career, or if a woman has to have a hysterectomy, yeah,
that's sexism.
That's sad. That's too bad. Wow,
if they
rough,
just told
you know?
if they told Black Widow to stay at Hawkeye Place, like
and have
all right,
babies,
have a meal ready for us when we get back.
That's sexism.
That's sexism.
There you go. So yeah, way different. No,
right.
And so, but because people disliked one character storyline so much,
this movie's bad.
It brought down the whole movie
in people's opinions.
Yeah, in people's opinions, brought down the whole movie, and so. This is such a danger with what's going to happen in Infinity War.
Yes. Because
in Avengers, there's 6 characters you care about in that?
6 major characters.
But in Infinity War, there's 74?
They've said something like, well, no, that's literally like they talked about the Russo brothers who directed it, which is actually a really good thing that they're directing it because they've directed the Captain America movies, the best of the Marvel movies. They're good at what they do. And they said, yeah, we've got 76 possible characters, probably going to be in the mid-50s or something.
I was joking.
No, you weren't. Crap. No, there are of the roster that they have available to them to involve. Not everybody's going to be in there, but pretty much everybody's going to be there. That's crazy. It's going to be a lot of plates to balance, a lot of balls up in the air.
Which is
not a reference to the fact that there are very few female characters, but it could be.
Obviously, Colby Smulders is not going to get a bunch of screen time.
She'll have a quick
yes, Director Fury.
Yeah, Director Fury, let's fly the thing. And all right, she's in there, check her off the list.
And she'll be in the background shooting things and whatever else.
Maybe they might run into the Defenders real quick, they go to Hell's Kitchen.
No, I doubt that any of them are going to be in it.
You don't think? I really hope that they're one of them shows up in Hell's Kitchen and is about to start fighting, and Daredevil shows up and he's like, "Don't worry, I got it," and then runs off and and whoever character shows up, Hawkeye or something, is like, "You sure?" And then he sees Daredevil just kick 100,000 people in the face. And he's like, all right. And then just walks, runs off or something.
Says something like more of us every day or something.
Yeah. Some quick, how many of you people are there? That kind of thing. Because he's not super powered.
Because he's not super.
What? Why am I still here? Just get him on the team. He's
how do
blind?
I still have a job?
He literally
and then he shoots 4 arrows backwards and hits 6 things. So
no, wow. I want Hawkeye to find out he's blind and be like, he's literally a disabled man and he has more powers than I do.
To shoot an arrow and he catches it. And then he finds out he's blind. He's like, I quit. He just throws his bow on the ground.
He just walks off calling his wife. Yeah, I'm going to be home a little early.
I'm going into insurance.
Just gets
incredible style.
Just gets in his Ford Focus and drives. He's not taking a helicarrier.
A little smart car. You can hear
it won't start.
That's away.
Thor, can I get a jump? Anyway.
Okay.
We're on the cons.
Right.
Hawkeye is such a source for comedy.
It's wonderful.
Be more. All right. More cons, though. More issues. I'm going to go with the more film-making standpoint.
Okay.
There's a real big problem with red tape. To be able to create Infinity War, it wasn't just, let's write a good script. It's, okay, we need to be able to sync up every single person's schedule. We need to be able to pay them for it. We need to get them to sign contracts that they'll be available for us. We need to make sure we have the rights to all of these different characters and storylines. There are so many things that don't actually directly affect the plot or the creative side of the movie that have to go into it. And so it's it's weird that they made it's for example, they made their way around it pretty well, but not being able to call Quicksilver and Wanda mutants,
right,
is a little bit weird. I feel like they wanted to, they could, that would have been a thing. Although they did handle it pretty well. They're just experiments of whatever, right, and they're out of it. But it's just that little thing, or not being able to put Spider-Man in movies that take place in New York City. Spider-Man's that's his deal.
Yeah, that's
that's where he lives.
Daredevil not in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. That had to be a problem, and then they had to go through the whole contract negotiation and be able to share the rights to make a Spider-Man movie. I feel like that's a problem that you have to have sorted out before you get into the cinematic universe business.
Absolutely.
It's a real detriment, and almost a real detriment to the ability to be able to create good movies, I think. Because if you're going to make a Marvel Cinematic Universe and you don't have Spider-Man, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
He's such an integral part to the
Marvel
universe. Yeah. And when he can't show up, not because people don't want to write a story about him, but because you are legally not allowed to do it, that's an issue right there. Mm-hmm. You got to have those ducks sorted out before you get into this whole commitment of 56 movies.
Which, thankfully, Disney has all of them.
Their solution is, let's just buy everything. Oh, Sony has that? Okay, we'll just buy Sony real quick.
Yep.
I'll just write them a check.
We own Sony.
Yeah.
It's just price, Sony. Just writes their name.
Done, whatever.
Yeah, we own you now.
Yeah, and okay, I have one more, but do you have anything else?
One more con that I can say, and this is, it's same as one of the pros I was talking about, is if you create a universe that people are not a big fan of, anything that's actually even good that you put out is automatically going to start a step down.
Sure.
And that's where I think the DCEU is at right now.
That's the problem.
That's one of their flaws right now.
I don't expect Justice League to be very good.
I don't expect Justice League to be a happy, quippy, great fun time. You know what I mean? So, for example, where we're at right now, there's already some critic reviews out, and one of them I read said it's a pretty fun movie despite the emo setting. And it was immediately, it was a knockdown. Everything the article said was like, it's positive, but it all just has this setting of gloominess to it. And so sometimes the jokes feel a little out of place.
Sure.
Sometimes the smile feels a little out of place. Like, you know, Aquaman cheering and laughing, whatever. Well, everything's dark and red and crimson and on fire. Like, it seems a
conflict
weird.
Of tone. Yeah.
Right. And so once you set that tone in Man of Steel, which we talked about the problems with that already.
Yeah. Go back and watch that episode.
Yep. That's our couple.
That was last week.
Last week's. Yeah. So
episode 8.
Go back and watch that episode. But, once you establish this setting in Man of Steel, and then you continue it in BVS, and
Wonder Woman is also better.
It's better, but it's still
kind of dark.
Yeah,
desaturated color palette in it. Her costume is not like bright. Which just those little things.
I mean, you can actually see in Wonder Woman, Themyscira is bright and colorful and real cool. And there's an actual moment where there's like this real gloomy like German boat, and then it like comes into the Themyscira side of things, and it looks great. And and so the DCEU has created a universe where things are dark and rough. And if you're gonna make a standalone Flash movie
where he's a funny, quippy, goofy guy.
How are you going to do that?
Yeah, it's going to feel weird. If you make it gloomy, then your character's not going to do very well because he's supposed to be funny. Then it's going to be weird. But if you make it super bright and your character does well in the movie, the movie's going to feel out of place in the rest of your universe.
In the entire universe.
Yeah. Okay, so to kind of close out here, let's talk about how do they fix it in the future? And let's just not talk about just DC.
Right.
If you were creating...
Marvel's got issues to fix as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. They've got some things they need to get around. But if you're creating a universe with this brand, usually there's some sort of brand that you're building it around and it has characters and stuff. What would you say is, like, if you were to, as the, movie expert...
That I am.
That you are.
Of course.
And you're talking to all these writers, what's your number one piece of advice?
And fans are going to hate me right now. I already do for this.
So that we're okay.
You got to find a way to remove characters. Whether that's killing them off, whether that's making them retire, whether that's making whatever. But it's been 10 years, and you and I are already having a conversation of how Infinity War is going to look.
Yeah.
Maybe it goes great, whatever. But what about another 10 years?
Yep.
You can't still have Chris Evans playing Captain America.
Old man America.
Right. And then at that point, do you just get a new actor? And if you just get a new actor, then you're James Bond. Like you just get a new guy every once in a while, and it's not a continuity anymore. You know that, who's the new Captain America? But no, he's not. He's different guys now, and he's just cycling through. And so you have to find a way now, you've established your universe. You have to begin to find a way. DC, they're gonna have their first all-together movie in this weekend, or just released for you guys listening to this. They need a plan now on how to get rid of all of their characters.
It makes sense. Or at least a way to replace them, which I kind of disagree. I think Marvel has actually done a decent job with that. I think Spider-Man, this is my opinion, I think Spider-Man is going to be the new Tony Parker. Or Tony Stark. Tony Parker. Tony Stark will marry May Parker, and she'll become May Stark. Oh man, that'd be great. And he'll retire, or just be like an advisory role. Spider-Man will be the new. He has the technological suit. He's funny and quippy.
Iron Spider.
Yeah, he won't be the leader of the crew. That'll still be. I think Captain America will be replaced by the Winter Soldier eventually.
Right.
Hopefully, I think Captain America should die in Infinity War, as fighting for his ideals as he always does, as he did in the comics.
Well, right now, Falcon is Captain America. Like, I think there are like 3.
I guess Falcon could replace him, but
and so. I think
somebody should take. I think imagery wise, somebody should literally put on the costume of Captain America and take up the shield again.
Right.
Because it's not just we need a Captain America. It's the idea. It's like V for Vendetta. At the end of V for Vendetta, the comic, it's different in the fact that Evie, she puts on the costume and now becomes V.
Right.
And it's not the fact that we just need a V for Vendetta. It's that his ideas can't die.
Right.
Doesn't matter who is portraying him. It's that he is more. He's a symbol,
he's
not
an
just
ideal.
Exactly. And ideas are bulletproof,
right?
As they say in the movie. So I think they've done. That's a good one. On my opinion is also character based, but I think a good cinematic universe is one that puts its characters first.
Agreed.
Marvel has always done that.
Yep.
You cared about Tony Stark immediately.
Yes.
Within the first 30 minutes, because you saw what he was about, you saw his flaw, and you saw him start to try to change.
Yeah, yes.
And how great was that? Immediately.
It's so good.
Captain America was the same way. You saw what he was about. You saw the conflict. He changed. It didn't change who he was, and, whatever, and his change. What I think DC is, we talked about this last week, of course, is that their characters are not the most likable.
Right.
You don't understand them super well. You kind of do, but they're not the best. Wonder Woman's easy to understand. I like her. She's the best character.
Yep.
But so far, I don't know who Aquaman is or what he's about, or Cyborg or Flash.
Right.
And these people are going to be introduced to me for the first time, essentially, in Justice League. And so I have high expectations for that. Actually, they're pretty low in my case. I need to like them. But we'll see. Ghostbusters failed because their characters, I think, were stupid.
Yes.
All 4 of them didn't act how they should.
They acted like children. They focused on the slapstick.
Yeah, they literally were confronting an otherworldly realm of monsters and then just ate Pringles because it's funny. No, it's not funny. You're being stupid right now.
As the gem of the original Ghostbusters movies is that these men are all scientists, and guess what? They're also witty and quippy.
Yeah.
And they're also kind of nerdy, except for one who's kind of a con artist. And
sure.
He's also
they're not making fart jokes though when they're trying to take down Gozer.
Right.
And they're worried what's gonna happen and save the day despite the fact that they don't really know what they're doing.
And Spangler, Egon, made no jokes.
Exactly.
It
was great. Same with Dark Universe. I didn't care at all about any of the characters in that. Who cares about, Tom Cruise very rarely plays a character you actually care about. And this is no different. I don't care that he's a mummy now. I'm not interested in seeing any of this anymore.
The very beginning, from the very get-go, I'm like, you're not Brendan Fraser with adventure. You're not Adventure Brendan Fraser, so I don't give a crap about you.
Get out of here. Yeah, if you're going to make...
I want Adventure Brendan Fraser!
Bring him back! He might be a million years old now or something. I don't know. Bring him back! Make fun of that in the next Mummy. That would be great. I'm too old for this. Which
literally,
is a thing that
please stop casting me.
So many mummies.
It just turns around to the camera. Please stop.
Why didn't they edit that out? I don't know. It's hilarious and still better than Tom Cruise. They need to... And all the universes need to continue or start having us care about who they're presenting to us.
Absolutely.
100%. That is first and foremost. Yeah, then make cool, interesting plots. And then make, villains that are, threatening and you worry about the character. But if I don't care about Spider-Man or Tony Stark, I don't care about the villain.
Yep.
Potentially killing him. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. That's all there is to say. We've said
else.
everything about. I've got like 16 more things I want to say.
I know we're over. We're a little bit over our
fine.
time right now.
We're fine.
Well, we shoot for 45 minutes. We're a little bit over our time right now.
Look, people love hearing me talk, so
I feel like I did most of the
we're
talking,
disappointing them right now.
But there's so much more to say on this. If you guys really enjoyed this topic, we may revisit it.
Yeah.
Again, always it helps if you tell people about it and if you share this with other people and whatnot. But more importantly, we want to know what you think about cinematic universes.
Sure.
We want to know how you feel that each team has done in the various cinematic universes there are. We want to know how you feel about the future of cinematic universes and what's going to go on with that. So put that in the comments, or when you share it, put it in your comments for that.
Give us a review of Justice League.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being supporters of us. We will see you guys next time. And remember, save games, save lives.
See you later, guys.